Well, the three of us are here. I'm Steve Gardner. Scott Watkins is the president of the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter, and we're here with a friend of the shelter, Leave Davik, who is wanting to tell us a little story today about uh, the impact that the shelter has had on her, and especially about one particular friend that she brought back from the shelter. Leave, it's great to have you with us here. And I hope it looks like you are enjoying uh, everything that sunny California today has to offer.
Yes, no rain today, which is a good thing. Thank you for having me. I have been a longtime supporter of the Hot Creek Animal Shelter since its inception or shortly thereafter when it was the Candy-Ojai County Humane Society before it served Meeker County as well. My parents used to live in Wilmer and I lived in Spicer from the time that I was a baby until I was 5 years old. So my family has many ties to the area. I began supporting Hot Creek Animal Shelter because my parents informed me that there was an animal shelter in Wilmer, and both of them being avid animal welfare advocates, wanted me to know more about it, and so began to talk with me about it. We used to go into the animal shelter when my parents lived there and became familiar with Steve, Bobby Bauman. There were so many people at the time. Bobby was the director of the animal shelter. And we began to try to help when, there was a need and we were able to participate. Over the course of time, there was a dog at the animal shelter that we had seen in the old days when it was very minimal information online and Pet Finder existed, but it was still, early on. And this particular dog had been saved by the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter, having been found hiding under a trailer in a mobile home park, immobile, completely unable to move, having been covered in bite wounds, presumably attacked by what no one knows. Um, and hypothermic. It was freezing cold weather in the middle to the end of January of 2009. Um, the Wilmer Police Department and or the Hot Creek Animal Shelter were able to extract him from under the trailer, brought him back into the shelter, warmed him up, gradually did everything they could to relieve his hypothermia, and realized that he had no use of one of his front legs, but he was still such a happy boy. So they ultimately realized that they had to amputate in order to avoid infection and any further problems. So they amputated his leg. And after amputating his leg, they made him available to adoption. He had been adopted by a lovely woman who unfortunately couldn't handle his energy because she was a bit older and he was a lot of dog. So he was returned to the animal shelter. And one day, because I would go on to see what Hot Creek was doing online, it's going to make me cry. There was a picture of him,
Hmm.
and it said, "Leave, adopt me."
Hmm.
And so I called the animal shelter and talked with Bobby and said that we would take him in California. My parents, after the Hot Creek Animal Shelter made certain he was ready to go, had all his medical updated. They prepared him for his flight to California. They did everything for us.
Hmm.
Um, and my parents came and picked him up, thanked everyone at Hot Creek, drove him to Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, checked him in for his flight, and flew him to San Francisco, where we picked him up at the airport to very happy people in baggage claim because one of the men said there usually the dogs that they would see come into the airport came from breeders and were
Hmm.
being shipped around the country. And this was the first time they'd ever seen an animal shelter ship a three-legged dog to a new home.
Oh, That is just a great story. Now, when he came out to California, did he have to wear little doggy sunglasses or anything like that?
No, but we dressed him up. So because he's from Minnesota,
Hmm.
my girlfriend Jake Dennis has this line of canine couture, which is basically dog clothing.
Hmm.
And she and I talked on the telephone one day, and we decided we were gonna make him an outfit reminiscent of his birthplace and where he was saved. So we had her design. She designed a Purple Rain T-shirt for him
Oh my goodness.
that I saved and we still have today. And I have pictures of him in a Purple Rain T-shirt, paying homage to Minnesota. And then after he was here, he ended up becoming good friends with Denny Green, who's
Hmm.
the former head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Denny was an analyst at CSN Bay Area and CSN California. And Denny would come into the studio on the weekends and work. And Chewy, I would bring in a portion of the time and he would hang out. Denny Green would feed him tortilla chips and all kinds of game day snacks. So he would crawl up on Denny Green with his one leg, and then Denny would hand him a tortilla chip, and then he would sit there and eat with him and watch the 49ers or the Raiders. It was the 49ers, not the Raiders. He watched the Raiders play with Denny Green. So he came full circle after coming to California.
That's really cool. So you named him Chewy.
Yeah, because the Hot Creek Animal Shelter did such a good job caring for Chewy and saved his life. He would not have lived in the condition he was in without them. So, in tribute to what they did for Chewy, we did not change his name.
Hmm. Okay. So so you bring Chewy to California. He meets Denny Green. I would imagine, he meets all sorts of different people. But it sounds like he had a real special way of stealing people's hearts.
He
I
loved
know this is
everyone.
hard because you uh, fairly recently lost him, but
Yes.
tell us a little bit about Chewy and his nature and what joy he brought.
Everyone loved Chewy, and Chewy loved everyone. There was no one that Chewy ever snarled at, ever, gave attitude to. He was friendly and happy all the time, even until a very short time before he died. He died completely unexpectedly.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, I would bring him into game days for sports at sports TV networks. I would take him into San Francisco with me, and he only had three legs, but he got around the same as a four-legged dog, with the exception that San Francisco's pretty hilly. So I had to be careful where I locked him because he would tire out with only one front leg.
Hmm.
So he saw the Golden Gate Bridge, he saw the Bay Bridge, he saw the Pacific Ocean, he saw the San Francisco Bay, he saw the coast of California. He road tripped with us through the desert. We would go back and, take him down from San Francisco to LA, and he would get out in the middle of the desert with Chris to go to the bathroom. And he was happy no matter where he was. Um, he was friendly to every single person he ever met, a very well adjusted dog. Um, and we miss him every single day.
Well, he certainly hit the jackpot with you. But even before that, having, been saved, like you say, by the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter, and you had him with you for a long, long time, not long enough, of course.
No.
Uh, but now you've decided that you would like to do something on behalf of the shelter to honor his memory. And can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter, in my experience, is the creme de la creme of animal rescue organizations and animal shelters. I have been a volunteer only since February, but with County of Los Angeles Animal Care and Control and their Palmdale Animal Shelter. And they do everything that they can there. But there is no comparison between the animal shelters that I have been in and the Hawk Creek. They're located in a part of Minnesota that, while it isn't very populous and it is a rural area, I have never seen such a large number of people in communities that aren't very large come together with the common goal of helping animals and the understanding that when we help animals, we help their owners, we help the people who care for them, and we help the whole community. And the connection between people and animals is real. You can love people like I do, and you can love animals at the same time. And I've never seen a group of people so cohesive and able to pool resources together without the advantages of places that Los Angeles has. The unlimited potential, unlimited stream of resources and money that can come in. They don't have that. And yet their outcomes are exceptional. I support them for a variety of reasons and have wanted to honor Chewy's life for many reasons. They do not euthanize for age. They do not euthanize for space. They do not euthanize for time served or the length of time that a dog or a cat or an animal has been with them. That distinguishes them from so many animal shelters and animal rescue organizations across the country. The care that they provide to their animals within the animal shelter and within their foster system is exceptional. The cleanliness, the environment that they create for the animals, the opportunities that they give animals to be socialized so they really understand their personality. Outside of just taking them for a walk or taking them into the play yard, they really know who it is the animal is, how they do around other animals. They're able to place these animals then into the appropriate households to make them less likely to be returned or, God forbid, thrown out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many reasons that I support them. They saved our Chewy's life, and he was our blessing.
It's interesting that in the world of adopting shelter pets, we tend to think that we are saving a life, and that's very true. But there's so many times that they save us.
Yes.
And that is a mutual blessing that we get when we're able to support organizations like the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Scott is the come back here, Scott. So
An awfully cute dog.
So he is the president of the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter. And since you adopted Chewy, the mission of the shelter and the need for funding have both exponentially expanded. And Scott, can you address some of that a little bit for us?
As far as the donations have been down lately, well, first of all, when the pandemic hit, it's tons and tons of dogs and cats and animals were adopted, which is awesome. But we all knew what was going to end up happening. We call them COVID dogs in a lot of cases. The owners were there 24/7, so the dogs sometimes they get socialized outside the home, did not properly get trained that a crate is a good thing sometimes. And then people end up going back to work, and now the way things are costing more money. And so what happens is pets lose their home. So it's not just us across the nation. I mean, anybody that's in the animal rescue world, I'm guessing just about everybody's donations down and everybody's intake as far as cats, dogs, whatever animals that we help. We help a variety of animals. Those are the main ones, but we have hamsters, all kinds of things come in. So this is awesome that you're willing to do this. And yeah, I mean, I had to turn off a couple times because I had tears coming out of my eyes, and I knew that was going to happen because that's the first time I've heard Chewy's story. And I've got a little terrier here myself. What kind of dog was Chewy? What kind of dog was Chewy? I never did ask.
We never DNA'd him because at the time we were at this mindset that we felt guilty buying a DNA test. We should donate the money, but now I regret it. And so we don't know, but we think he was listed by Hot Creek Animal Shelter as a terrier poodle mix. And we're fairly certain that, who knows what else might have been in there, but poodle definitely, and probably at least one type of terrier.
So, well, I'm
And
sorry to get sidetracked and not answer your
No,
question,
yeah.
Steve, but yes, I mean, we rely on donations from people like yourself and local people because we get a certain amount of money from our county here in Meeker County. Just be flat out, we take county. I mean, another reason you love our shelters is because we don't turn animals away. It doesn't matter if they're from our county. I'm not advertising that we want all the county's dogs and cats by any means, but at the same time, we look for support. What we want is your support. Talk to your local county commissioners and city councilmen. And I mean, if we're taking animals from your area, it'd be cool if your area also contributed as far as the cost goes. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, absolutely. As it should
And we
be.
just love what you're doing, and I know you're going to talk more about what you're going to offer and what's coming up. So I'll let you do that.
Yeah, well, I think what you said too, Scott, about the intake of animals after, the country began to open up in California, like in Minnesota, it's been unbelievable. The number of animals that have not only been surrendered to animal shelters, but I suspect, this is just my opinion, have been thrown out, or people just simply did not want to even take them to an animal shelter, or thought that their chances were better if they threw them out onto the streets, or here throwing them into the desert. And so that's pretty common. There are these different dumping grounds in the California desert, unfortunately. And so I think that's another reason that for me now is a really good time for everyone to please consider donating to the Hot Creek Animal Shelter.
we have an event called Give to the Max Day coming up next month, which is in Minnesota. It's a day of philanthropy. All across the state, hundreds and thousands of nonprofits participate in this, as does Hawk Creek Animal Shelter. And you have something special that you'd like to incent people to give with.
Yeah, in honor of our dog Chewy, and I think too in memory of everyone's pet or pets, any pets that any of us have ever had that we loved and we miss so much. And like I said, in honor of our dog Chewy, we would like to match dollar for dollar every donation that comes in to Give to the Max Day. We think that now is the most important time to be able to try to help in any of our own, ways to make this life better for the dogs and cats who have come into the Hot Creek Animal Shelter, portion of which have probably been neglected or abused, abandoned, homeless, maybe never had a home of their own, and are looking for a family to call their own. So this year, in honor of Give to the Max Day, we ask that you please consider donating to the Hot Creek Animal Shelter. Every dollar matters to an animal who has nothing. And every dollar matters to an animal organization that gives everything that they can and then more to helping these animals that have come through their doors, just like our Chewy.
And Leave, that is just such an exceptionally generous thing that you want to do for us, all the way out from California. And I go back to the days when you adopted Chewy. The shelter was probably helping 1,200, maybe 1,400 animals a year. Last year, we were just under 3,200 animals that came through our little 5,000 square foot shelter. And what our staff does at Hawk Creek is nothing short of miraculous. All the way from the services that you talked about earlier, also vaccination clinics, low-cost spay neuter clinics, trap, neuter, and release program. All of those types of things that we can do to help animals in any way, shape, or form that we can. I think is just a tremendous thing to support. And I can't begin to tell you how much your support over the years has been valued and appreciated. And to hear Chewy's story is just really an inspiring thing. If you could think of one thing that you could leave us with, uh, besides your generosity, uh, what is it that would otherwise drive you to this? Because obviously you come to the animal sheltering, animal welfare world quite honestly, and for a long time. But what one thing would you want people to take from our visit today?
I think that I was raised with parents who loved animals. My mother um was used to, like, there was one time a homeless cat in our neighborhood, and it bothered my mother so much because she could not approach the cat easily. So she made a game for the kids in the neighborhood that whoever could find the kitty and safely bring the kitty back to her would win whatever it was that they.
It,
And someone found the kitty and brought the kitty to my mother, and my parents took the kitty in. I was raised that way. I think that the connection between the way that we treat animals and the vulnerable among us, whether it be animals, children, the elderly, those with disabilities, those who are poor and have less than we've been blessed to have, or who have fallen upon hard times, the way that we treat people in those positions says everything about who we are.
mhm. And we as a, you can tell what the values of a society are by the way we treat, as you say, the most vulnerable amongst us, and the way we treat animals. And I don't think there's any clearer connection than that.
I agree with you completely, completely. So for me, I love people and I love animals. I don't think that they're mutually exclusive, but I think when you can help animals, you help people, you strengthen interpersonal relationships. It allows people to have better quality of life, better physical health. It's proven people are healthier when they have positive communication and contact with animals.
Hmm.
Makes you happier. It allows you to play and have fun and playfulness and be a little kid all the time with animals. I think there's so many benefits to having animals in your life. I wouldn't want a world without them.
That's just awesome. Well, Lee, I want to thank you, first of all, for sharing Chewy's story with us. It's really been something that Scott admitted to it. I didn't, but neither one of us had dry eyes while you were telling that story. And so you're going to be matching donations during the Give to the Max Day, which is coming up later in November. If anyone who sees this, because that's kind of the intent of doing this, is that we're going to make sure that people see this. If you see this, check out the website for the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter, and we'll have the information for Give to the Max Day on there, and there will be some other events that'll be happening on that day as well that the shelter is intending to do. But you can certainly support this effort in that way, and come that day, we would love to have a record-breaking day uh, on behalf of the shelter for Give to the Max Day. As Scott mentioned, donations are down, uh, costs are up for everyone, and so literally, as you said, Lee, every dollar matters. Every gift matters to any animal sheltering agency, but we kind of feel the same way as you do. We think that the Hawk Creek Animal Shelter is that creme de la creme. And I just want to thank you again so much for all the support that you've given through the years. And we hope that we can do justice in helping you honor Chewy's life and what he meant to you and all of those other people that he palled around with over the years.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I'm sure Chewy does too.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I don't know that I actually ever met Chewy, but I felt like I did uh,
Yeah.
from talking with you and seeing pictures of him, and you gave him his absolute best life. And thank you for that, and thank you for everything that you do going forward.
Thank you for letting me be a part of your work and of the Hot Creek Animal Shelter. I'm so grateful to you.
As we are of you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.